Hey guys, it's Devin Moreno here and welcome to the Baltimore Investors channel. And today I'm going to go ahead and show you part two of both Edgewood and Venable. Those are the names that we're naming for these two gut renovation projects. So as you can see right here, this one is actually in a little bit of a better shape from part one. We actually got the lawn completely finished. Well, not completely, we got a lot of trash and such, but and a lot of the exterior is finished. So I'm going to show you what we've done. I'm going to show you this rough-in phase of this, this renovation. So come on and take a look. All right guys, so here we are in the front of the property where, as you can see, we've destroyed this entire area full of trees. There actually were 3 trees over there, lots of vegetation, stuff growing all over the place. I mean, it was just a forest over here. We cut all this down for $2,000. So that's the price that we got quoted. We had to shop around quite a bit, but they managed to cut all the trees down, all the landscaping, all the bushes cleared out, and the hallway for $2 grand. And then you're going to see the windows that we installed for $250 a window. I'd recommend using that as your standard price. That's the price we got here in Baltimore. The good thing about cutting down these trees is there were groups of guys who would always hang out in this area. So luckily they kind of stopped hanging around once the trees were cutting down. I don't know what they were doing, maybe dealing, I don't know. Any city you have these problems. Let's go ahead and take a look inside. All right. And we are inside. So here is the rough-in stage of this whole project. We have the rough-in for the ductwork, we got the rough-in for the plumbing, and the only thing you don't see here is actually the electrical. So the electrical, we're actually doing the entire building for $6 grand. He's putting a new, I believe, 180 amp panel, and then he's just rewiring the entire house. Ductwork costs us $6 grand. That's about pretty much the price that you want to pay for your ductwork. This is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. And we do have 3 levels because we have a sub-level in the basement. So that was our price for all of it. That includes the unit, that includes the furnace, all the pieces, and all the installation of it. What happens is the HVAC guys came in here, ran all the ducts, and then they're going to come back when the project's finished to actually install the units. They don't install them immediately because they often get stolen. So it's a lot better for them to be one of the last pieces that come in. So we got the framing that will be done, finished up. We're going to bring our framers back here and frame out the ductwork. They actually have a little bit of framing to do here as well because they noticed that the floors, this is something we ran into, there's termite damage here on this floor, so they're going to redo that with plywood on the subfloor layer. And then right after the ductwork, we had the plumbers come in, and then they ran all the plumbing throughout the house. And it's a little bit harder to see here, but once I take you guys upstairs, you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so now we're upstairs. So where you guys physically are would be the bedroom, and this is the master bedroom behind. It's kind of hard to tell with all this framing we got going on here, but you'll see some of the ductwork that we ran up in here. You always need to make sure you have a return vent on the top floor. We made sure of that. Made sure the supply vents in the bathrooms and everywhere they're supposed to be, of course, and all the plumbing work with the bathrooms. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to see here, but I'll show up some pictures where you're going to see some of the work that we've been doing. We had to reframe some areas where a window got caught in a closet, so we managed to fix that. You're seeing the photo now, but other than that, that was the whole framing job. I believe for this came up to about $5 grand. And the plumbing, so the plumbing we actually got a major discount. We got pretty much a $2,200 quote for the plumbing, which sounds absurd because it's actually pretty cheap. We did have to then pull the permits, which cost us another grand. But yeah, we got pretty lucky on that. And then we're redoing the roof now. So the roof is costing us $11,000. Unfortunately, we had to do a full tear off, and then we technically have 3 roofs where we have the back portion and the front area, which hasn't been done yet, the awning in the front. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at Venable, and let's see what we're doing over there. All right, guys, so this is the second house. This is the one we're going to go ahead and call Venable, like I said, after the street names. This is actually a favorite area of mine because it's actually under a lot of development close to another neighborhood called Waverly, but also close to Guilford. If you guys aren't familiar, these are kind of the central areas of Baltimore City around Johns Hopkins. So this is obviously, like I said, part 2, so you're going to see the rough-in side of all this building. So this front door we actually had to bar shut with a refrigerator and all kinds of things because it's actually broken. I could just kick it down. So we're going to go ahead and go around the back, and I'll show you guys the house. All right, guys, so here we are in the Venable house, and I'm gonna go ahead and walk you through this entire area, everything that's been done so far. So this is when we're already past the rough-in stage. So as you guys remember in the previous video, it's first all the rough-ins, which is the HVAC, the electrical, the plumbing, and then we go into inspections and we do the insulation, the roof, and then we move forward into the finishings. So as far as this, there's a couple lessons to be learned. So as we can see, the ductwork has actually already been done. And unfortunately, what we did was we hired the guy and just said, go ahead in there. I assumed, and well, I've been always told that ductwork is something you can just sort of let them go do it, send them the drawings, and they'll be fine. Unfortunately, when you do that and you're not on top of your contractors, even though I was visiting the property a couple times every here and there, unfortunately wasn't on top of them, didn't tell them directly what I wanted, and they did some things wrong. So there's a massive gap between the ductwork and the wall. I'm not really sure why they did that, but normally they have it hug the wall. What that means is we're gonna have a bulkhead that's actually much larger than I actually anticipated. And what it also did was they jutted this out. Now you'll notice in the Edgewood house, they didn't do this. So I'm not really sure why they did this, but now I have to create a bulkhead all the way around this in order for me to cover it up. So it creates like a separation, I guess, from the kitchen and the living room, which is not a bad thing. We're gonna turn this into a win for us. Just make a little bit of a separation. We already have to frame it out anyway. And then the best part is, because we didn't drywall these walls, we actually can't, unless we dig into the brick, we can't put the electrical outlets in that wall. So we're just gonna put it in the drywall framing that we made here, all the outlets that would normally have to go into the floor. So turning that into a positive. Next, you can see, obviously the electrical was done. The ductwork guys actually ended up taking a while to come out. So at first, and you'll see in this picture here, the electrical lights were actually a lot closer to the ductwork. This would have caused a major problem, as we ended up having to, as we framed this out, it would end up colliding with these lights. So I had the electrician come back out. He had to move the lights. Also, the ductwork guys ended up cutting one of the floor outlets when they did the ductwork. So this is the reason that you want the ductwork guys to come in first. It's because they have the least amount of room to work with. They can't really turn as easily as, like, let's say the electricians can. But like I said, to get the project done, the ductwork guys were moving slow. I had to do it. So the ductwork cost me $6 grand. That is everything, including the inspections and installing the units into the house. And I did that in 3 installments. And the electricity cost me $5,800. So $5,800 got me everything, including all the lights, everything you'll see throughout everything in the house. This includes new breakers, new 150 amp panel, and pretty much just everything regarding that. And, all right, guys, so here we are in the basement. So as you can see, the ductwork is not actually completely finished. They actually have to run it all the way across the room. So what they're gonna do is take this ductwork, they're gonna run it across the room and to where it gets to this gas right here. So this wasn't ideal in my opinion, and you'll see why in just a minute, but they're gonna end up cutting this gas, attaching it to the gas furnace, and then we'll have heat for the remainder of this project. So this light will end up having to move, and this is another reason that, once again, you usually want your ductwork to go first, because now this light is in the way of the ductwork. So other than that, the washer and dryers that you see over here are actually now over here. So we ended up doing this for cost reasons. It was a lot easier to maneuver it over here. However, traditionally you'd want them all in one place, so that way you can have all your utilities in a single spot. If we wanted to finish this basement, then it would be a lot easier to justify the room if we could just seal off one little small area for all the utilities and then provide the rest of the space. Unfortunately, what this means is by putting the washer and dryer here, it makes it a little less easy to actually justify this as a room. So we're probably never gonna finish the basement and probably even sell it as is, just like this. Lastly, you'll see over here, we have the panel that was done. And this is our new panel. It's wired up to the whole rest of the house. We did everything brand new. Once we clean up this place, there's gonna be very little work left here. That means our costs will be lower, so that's actually good. And the best part is, if we sell it, a new person coming into this house might actually see this as a win for them. They could finish the basement if they want, because they have an egress door. So if they wanted to do it, that is an option. Obviously, the washer and dryer makes it a little bit of a problem, but I'm sure they might be able to work around that. So let's go ahead upstairs and I'll show you the bedrooms. All right, so here we are in the master bedroom, and we've already started out the framing of this area. We're probably gonna knock a few more walls down, and I'll show you that in just a second. But overall, this is a little bit different design than the master bedrooms I'm typically used to. Normally, you wouldn't put the master in the front of the house. Here you're gonna see this faces right to the street. Typically, it's just because of a noise thing, so it's just a typical, I guess, design in this area. But in this case, we're actually putting it in the front of the house. We're gonna have vaulted ceilings up here once we do all the rest of the framing, and then we will have our master. So this goes into a couple things where I would say make sure you're on top of your contractors, because sometimes they can do things that you didn't really want them to do. And I can get into some examples of that. So me not being involved as much as I wanted to with the contractors, they ended up doing some things where, like, the ductwork now is going right through this closet, making it incredibly small. Now this is gonna be an easy fix. We'll just reframe it out. But for a master bedroom, this closet would probably not be an ideal size. And then in the other bedroom, there's a few little framing issues, but easy fix. We're already bringing them back out, not a problem. So the framing in here cost us about $6 grand, and I think that's pretty much it for what we have here. The insulation, another $1,200. So as far as finding out if you're doing things correctly as a new investor, one, I do have a mentor with me who actually is helping me renovate this house with him. He is unfortunately well burdened on multiple other projects, making it a little harder for him to see it more often. But two, one thing I do is every time the contractors come in here, if there's ever something I don't know if they're doing it right, like I know nothing about framing or ductwork or plumbing or anything like that, then what I'll do is bring in other contractors and have them evaluate the place as well. So this is without my contractors who are being hired already knowing this. They'll come through and review their work. Then, using the information that I found from my other contractors, I can go back to my current ones and say, hey, look, you're gonna need to fix these several items. This allows me to stay as a knowledgeable investor. Now, obviously during the beginning stages, in order to get these prices, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll bring in like 7 to 14 contractors for all these different things. And the best part is they give me their ideas and philosophies on why it is they will renovate things in a certain way. Using these ideas, remember, not every licensed contractor or unlicensed is fully knowledgeable of what they need to do here or even has the best ideas. But using those ideas, I can bounce them off of other contractors to form an opinion for myself. So this allows me as a new investor, not knowing really a lot of what he's doing in these renovations, to be able to do things in the most intelligent manner possible. So that's it for this house, guys. I'll go into the bathroom for, actually, here, before I stop, let me go take you into the bathroom just to show you this area. So this is an area where, once again, I brought some contractors in here to look over the plumbing, to look over the framing and everything, and so they ended up pointing out a few things that I would not have been able to spot. So as a new investor, I see a tub, I see some plumbing, I see framing, everything looks just fine. However, as an experienced contractors come in there here, they're thinking about other things that I don't think to think about. Like, okay, what about your insulation for this wall? This is an exterior facing wall. We're an end unit. This is gonna freeze these pipes. You know, they're thinking about like little things like the framing, some of the framing being broken here, you know, little things like, okay, nail punctures up there. We actually had to install a metal plate because our framers did not put a metal plate, or I'm sorry, put the frame around this. All right, and you'll see better examples in other spots of the house. But I mean, essentially, these are things that as a new investor, I wouldn't know about, but these other contractors will spot it right quickly. So anyway, guys, if you have any questions, let me know. I will let you know as we go through this whole renovation journey. These are my first 2 major gut houses. I already have 5 houses as of right now, but these are the 2 that I've brought down pretty much to the studs and bringing them back up again. So I'm looking forward to the end project. And this is me only a year and a half into investing, 5 houses, first 2 gut renovations. And I'll talk to you all real soon.